So being in a long-term, happy relationship is something that a lot of people want. But, it can be pretty tricky. It's not so easy. You can have conflicts, you can really grow apart, all sorts of things can happen, life stresses, things that come in between you and your partner. Now, the good thing is that we have a whole bunch of research that has been done for the past 50 years or so by lots of different scientists, including John Gottman and Julie Gottman. And they've been researching what makes couples relationships really strong. So what are some of the building blocks for very strong, happy relationships? And also, what are some of the predictors of relationship demise? And for couples, they put all of that together into a workshop. And I am a Gottman therapist, and I also give this workshop. It's called the Art and Science of Love workshop. And what we do there is go through all these important building blocks, and I explain a lot of them. We have exercises we do. You go off with your partner and practice with these exercises, and I help out with that. And some of the things that we work on are how to have manage conflict in really constructive ways. So, because conflict is normal to have, it's important to have, but there are ways that it works better than others. So sometimes we can have it in really destructive ways, and then it can contribute to relationships going downhill. But when we have constructive conflicts, it can actually make couples feel more connected. But besides conflict, there's other areas that we also work on in the workshop, because there's other areas that are really important to feel stable and happy and really connected. And so one of them is the friendship. And the friendship is built up of a lot of different elements. But when the friendship's strong in a relationship, you feel close, you feel known, you feel like you're important, you feel loved, you feel valued, you feel seen and appreciated and respected. So those are also things that we'll look at. And also, creating a sense of shared meaning is important for couples. So it's about, having purpose as a couple, knowing what you want out of life, and having dreams and goals that you're working towards, or at least heading towards and dreaming about together. So all those three areas we'll be looking at. I will be going over the research and everything we found to be true about these areas, at least what we know for now to be true, and you'll be applying that then to yourself with these exercises, which are just kind of a practice round. So the workshop is, it's a 2-day weekend workshop, and you don't, go through all the areas and then you're finished. No, this is a beginning. So you start to practice with these exercises and hopefully implement them into your day-to-day life, so you feel more connected and loving and happy and like you got this with your partner. So what is unique about the Gottman method? Well, what I really like is that it's based on decades and decades of scientific research. So it's not just a feeling about what feels right in terms of good relationship. No, it's really based on decades of research with thousands and thousands of couples. So these couples would come into a lab and be studied, and they were followed for years. And there were all sorts of couples. There were newlyweds, there were couples that were about to have a baby, there were couples that were followed for 20 years, there were couples that were gay and lesbian. So we have a whole lot of information that was then kept on getting restudied over and over again, and the same results were found. And that's how we know about all these important building blocks for strong relationships. And that makes this method really unique, because we really know that this stuff works, because not only did the Gottmans find all these patterns in terms of what makes relationships strong or what makes them fall apart, but they also studied what is effective in terms of helping couples that are challenged in some of these areas. So that's also been studied. So the nice thing here is that they're really pleasant exercises. And not only that, when you hear about the research, it also really makes sense to you because it's done with so many couples. So we all feel represented in the studies. And we can also all take it into our own cultures. It's not, based in one culture. So we can find it in all relationships all around the world that these same tenets apply. So we really are able to take the things that are important to us from the theory, from the research, and apply it to our relationship. But then, of course, each relationship is unique. So you still have your own relationship with your own unique culture and your own traditions and rituals that you make in your way. And so that will make it unique for you. So this educational workshop is designed for all sorts of couples that may have difficulty with conflict management, couples that are feeling maybe disconnected, couples that feel pretty good about their relationship but want to make it even better. So anyone's welcome. It's not therapy, so it's really self-guided, and I will also assist you with exercise, and you'll understand a lot about the research and the theory and how you can apply it to your relationship. And it's not therapy. So that's always important to know, but you'll get so much out of it, and it really can help you make the trajectory of your relationship really, really positive, and that you feel like you're in the positive perspective about the relationship. So in terms of the conflict management, we'll be working on several different things. So number one, we're going to be looking at something called the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. So the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse are a term that we give for 4 behavior patterns that we see with couples that are not doing well. So the more these horsemen show up, their behavior, their types of communication, the more they show up, the bigger the chance that the relationship is, coming to an end or heading down, in a downward spiral. So first of all, you have criticism, and criticism is when you communicate to your partner that they're to blame for a problem. And the second one is defensiveness. Defensiveness is when we don't take any responsibility for a problem. We're actually saying, no, you're the problem, so we counter criticize or we act like an innocent victim. The third horseman is contempt. And contempt sounds a bit like criticism, but it's from a place of superiority. So it's like looking down at your partner and saying, hey, you're beneath me. So that's really our biggest predictor for relationships breaking up. And the last one is stonewalling. So stonewalling is when we stop responding to our partner. So we kind of go off in our own world and we go into silent mode and don't respond. And that's really going to upset our partner as well. So these are just ways that we know don't work because they escalate the negativity in the interaction and they don't help people get heard. So the good thing is that the research also has shown us the antidotes to these 4 destructive patterns. So we have constructive patterns that have also come from all the decades of research. And so we know that instead of criticism, if you bring up a topic from a place of the I as opposed to the you, so you make I statements, so talking about how you feel about what and what it is that you need, that it really changes the direction of a conversation. And if instead of being defensive, you take some responsibility for the problem at hand, that also really makes a difference. And if instead of having contempt for your partner, you express your own feelings and your own needs, you're going to do much better. Your partner's not going to feel belittled. And then when it comes to stonewalling, we know that the antidote to that is to, check in. How are you doing physiologically speaking? Now, what do I mean by that? Is when we are having an argument with our partner, it can sometimes lead to our heart rate going up and we get really overwhelmed. So our heart rate can even go over 100 beats a minute. And that is going to get us into fight or flight mode. And we're not really able to respond really well. So we want to work on the antidotes to all of these, and what I'll do in the workshop is explain even more how that works, and we'll practice with this. So we really will try to eliminate the 4 horsemen from your relationship. So just a little bit about the structure of the Art and Science of Love workshop. It's a 2-day workshop, and you spend time with each other privately doing exercises, but as a group, we have some time for lecture where I explain things, and then I also explain the exercises we're going to do. And there's lots of opportunities for Q&A and also for getting help while you're doing the exercises. When it comes to the friendship exercises, we're going to work on things like building love maps, which has to do with getting to know each other better. We're going to work on fondness and admiration, which has to do with sharing appreciation and respect for your partner. We're going to work on turning towards each other, which is really being responsive and giving each other, the time that's needed. When it comes to working on conflict management, we're going to learn how to eliminate the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. We're going to work on the gentle startup, which is really the antidote to criticism and contempt, 2 of the 4 horsemen. We're going to also look at deeper conflicts that are perpetual. So we know that when couples have arguments, 69% of the time, they're about perpetual conflicts, perpetual subjects that keep coming up over and over again. And some of these can be really painful and difficult, and you can't make any progress with them. So for that, we have an exercise called the Dreams Within Conflict exercise, which then we learn to understand in a deeper way what's underneath the issue for both of you. So the deeper meaning. And so we have to uncover that a bit before you can work on compromise, which is another exercise we do. Because to have good compromise, there's an art to it. So that's a great one to learn as well. Then we also have some exercises looking at shared meaning. So looking at your future together and dreaming together. So that's an overview of what you can expect.